Every day there's a new way, a new example of how we have won dramatically and how this election is and has not only culminated, but that this rise is changing, this elevation of sorts. The word revolution and the notion of it being used in terms of tumult involves believes, I believe the etymology of it goes back to Galileo and Copernicus and Ptolemy, whether the universe or our version of the universe was geocentric versus heliocentric, but it started with the notion of the revolution of what revolves around what. Does the earth revolve around the sun? Does the sun revolve around the earth? The notion of a revolution. And those people who fought for that, those people who had the unmitigated wherewithal to suggest and who knew that that was precisely what was going on, that is where the word revolution comes from. And we are in a revolution. And much like that Japanese officer who did not acknowledge that World War II is over, the radical left and the Wokies believe that they are still somehow in charge. But more importantly, they believe that they hold the influence, that they hold sway, that their coolness still means something to you. Let us not disabuse them of this stupidity. Remember, dear friends, please subscribe to the channel. I read this, and even Rick Beato mentioned this. 87% of people who watch videos repeatedly never subscribe. Don't. So we ask you to subscribe. Hit that like button. Like buttons are so critical. It changes everything. It puts us into the recommended range. When we are recommended, we can tell people that we have a new way of looking at things. Yeah, you might say we're to try to label this. It might be easy if you don't know what you're looking for. This is not your Fox News right-wing conservative channel and network. We are not that. So in any event, please like the video, hit that little button so you're subscribed and you're notified of live streams and new videos. And before we begin, my friends, let us start with this incredible word from our sponsor. If you're suffering from daily aches and pains, please listen closely. Top medical experts have unveiled a natural pain reliever that is changing the way Americans fight pain. 100% drug-free canolidine. Canolidine is the only solution that optimizes your body's natural painkillers called endorphins, providing full body relief without dangerous pills or known side effects. Over 1 million Americans and hundreds of professional athletes, including UFC fighters, have already embraced canolidine's pain relief power. And best of all, canolidine is legal worldwide, certified drug-free, and does not cause side effects, grogginess, or addiction. After 14 years of clinical research, it has been proven safe and effective, backed by thousands of successful use cases from other Americans just like you. And best of all, today you can try canolidine for less than $1 per day. This is your opportunity to finally live pain-free. Click the link below to try the only canolidine product in the world risk-free for a full 90 days. The private link and special discount expire at midnight tonight. Experience daily pain relief with canolidine. You have nothing to lose but your pain. I keep using this theme that they don't know what happened. The radical left really do not understand what happened. They don't get it. You know who does get it? Our new member, Sim. Thank you so much, Sim. Diana Smith and Pilgrim Media, who says, even after Trump, this won't end. It will end to an extent. It will end. But here is the deal. Unless they have some kind of power, Pilgrim, it doesn't matter what they say. We don't care what they say. We don't care what they say. It means nothing to us what they say. Have your shows, have your SNL, your The Spew. By the way, did you hear Holterman's, this wonderful, in fact, I think we have it here. I was looking before at this. We were, yes. This wonderful, as you know, this lady who looks like a couch with a mop on her head. You know her from this show that I guess a few people watch. Is Holterman's Bakery. There we go. We're following. They showed absolute. This is the most incredible. Holterman's Bakery. They write, overwhelmed and beyond grateful for the incredible outpouring of love and support from our Staten Island community and friends around the world. They have this beautiful, beautiful picture of the empty everything, empty stock. They're wiped out. Every single thing that they made has been sold. Why? Because of you. And because of us. And because of our love and commitment to truth. Let me show you something right now. Let me show you which is one of the most important things which these people do not understand. This is President Trump last night at the UFC extravaganza. Has been so loyal to Trump. Isn't that wonderful? This was crazy. And also watch this. It's not the only part about this. When Trump walks up to the ringside, guess who's there? Of course, Joe Rogan. And what does President Trump happen? Do you know what that means to the rest of the world? Did you see how they're having the Trump dance? I believe he handed him at one particular point, the belt. Now, let me ask you something. Just so that you know, me personally, not that it matters, I couldn't care less about this. Could not care less. Professional wrestling of the 60s and 70s, yeah, that was it. But that's me. I'm weird. I don't care. It's not about me. It's not about you. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is I'm not telling you this because I'm a fan. I'm not. That's not it. What I'm the same thing as if he would have had that same reaction at, let's say, NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan either. Doesn't mean I don't like it. It means I'm not a fan. I'm not Jewish or Muslim. It doesn't mean I reject them or say there's nothing to this. We have to understand something. Just because we don't follow something doesn't mean that we disapprove of it. This is America. This is America front and center. This is something which was so important and so critical for people to understand and grasp. This is a movement, and nothing that they do on SNL or whatever can possibly matter. This is America. You see, the left, and I'm going to use this. Forgive me for saying this. Forgive me for using these terms because it's too overgeneralized. But America does not understand, or the left, does not understand being for something. They are against something. Do you remember this? They don't understand at all what being for something is. They don't understand it. They don't grasp it. They weren't for Kamala Harris. They were against President Trump. They weren't for her in the least. They were against President Trump. You can't build a movement, a party, an ideology, a revolution being against something. They never told you what they were for. They never told you this. This is what's important. There's nothing there. Every time he turned around, every rally, every event, everything, you saw people who were for President Trump. But not just for him, like, I've never seen it. This is what people don't grasp. And that's why I'm telling you, do me a favor. They are going to come after, and they are, everybody in some way or another that President Trump has nominated and everything he says and will do. If you do not acknowledge it, if you do not acknowledge it, if you ignore it, or what I tell people is, if they say, well, did you hear about Pete Hegseth or did you hear about Bobby Kennedy? I say it's Russian propaganda. It's all, and they say, what? It's Russian propaganda. Well, you can say it. I can say it too. Russian propaganda. That's what it is, and move on. And then say, well, 15 intelligence directors signed and said it was. He goes, what? Just make, well, you can make stuff up. I can make stuff up. Our job is not to respond to people. They're going to try to stop the progress by throwing something in the middle of the road, causing the parade to stop. So you got to go around it and keep going. You're going to go over it. Please, and I mean this, and it may be tough for people, you have to ignore. I'm never going to put, I'm looking for some kind of interesting clips. I'm never going to see anything on SNL or anybody else for that matter. I don't care. Let them die on the vine, because remember, the people who are, listen carefully, the people who are responsible for giving this the audience heft that is available is not people who actually watch at the moment of the event. That's not it. That's not it. They get their ratings, so to speak. They get their ratings from you commenting on it. I'm going to say it again. When Kamala was on Howard Stern, she didn't get the heft and the boost from the millions of Sirius XM. No, nobody listened to that. She got the boost from people who took the particular piece and played it on YouTube. That's what it's about. So remember that. Remember that. And let me also tell you something. You're always going to see naysayers. Remember that even here, I hate to say it, there are a few, and people are going to bring up something that President Trump says, something that he did, something that in retrospect, and you want to ask somebody, what do you want me to do? Ask them this question. Well, President Trump said this. What do you want me to do about that? Tell me, what should I do? What do you prefer that I do? You're right about that. They will say things like, well, Trump didn't handle the vaccine response correctly. Okay. Should we turn back the White House now? What do you want me to do? And what happens is people are just naysayers. They're saying, well, I don't really want you to do anything. Well, why are you bringing this up? What are you telling me this for? Well, I don't know. So, because remember, there are people who have no critical thinking skills. And do you want to sit back and really go through? Do you think that we can honestly say that we are 100% in agreement with everything the president has said? No. But understand, this is what people are. People are sometimes miserable. There's a part of them that is, they're just never happy. And they should really hang with, so to speak, people of the left who are just miserable, who are doing everything desperately to bring up everything about Pence and Hegseth and Bobby Kennedy. They keep talking about a worm in his brain and he killed a bear. Ignore it. Keep going on. They're going to be talking to themselves in an echo chamber. Listen to what I'm saying. Please. I give this only as an example. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because I want you to remember this event. I want you to remember where you were when this happened.
Of a projection to make in Wisconsin.
Yes, we can.
NBC News projecting that Wisconsin was won by Donald Trump, and therefore, as you see on your screen, we are now projecting that the next president of the United States is Donald Trump.
Remember, he will reclaim the White House. The 45th president of the United States will become the 47th president of the United States.
CBS News now projects that Donald Trump is the winner in Wisconsin.
Listen to her voice.
That gives him the number of electoral votes he needs to become the 47th president of the United States. This is an incredible moment in American history.
What? For you?
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
The Fox News decision desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin, a state that he narrowly lost 4 years ago. He is now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms. The first was Grover Cleveland in the late 1800s. Senator J.D. Vance will become the 50th vice president of the United States.
Now, this is the part. What are we going to do now about this? What do we do now about this? The first thing we have to do is do not sit back and clap stupidly. Do not sit back and scream and yell and just clap. No. He has to produce. He works for us. But first, give him the chance. Give him. And also remember, how do I say this? 90% of the people you are talking to have no idea what they're talking about. They have no clue. They are reactors. Give you an example. Somebody brought up Alex Jones. Okay. And as I've always told you, I think Alex Jones is historic in terms of what he has done to what we are doing right now. He was there first. Set the tone, and also set an agenda that we would never, ever, ever be talking about. You would never be talking about the Illuminati or Masonic this, which is fascinating, were it not for him. Now, what do you think people should do regarding this? And I talk to people and say, well, did you hear about Alex Jones? Yes, I did. And it seems like there was something wrong with the particular sale or the bid. Okay. What is it what do you want? Is this something we can control? It's great to talk about. What is it that we can do to control it? I have no idea. I can't either. I don't know what to do about this. I don't know where this is. I don't. So I ask people, well, what have you found out about it? I don't know. Well, what's your point? I don't know. Well, what's your objection? I don't know. Well, what is it? I don't know. The next thing I want you to do is to try to remember, don't react unless you can say, I thoroughly understand what it is I'm reacting to. What is it that you're getting upset about? Is it because as a fan? Is it because do you think this is a strike against First Amendment freedom of speech? What precisely is what is it? What is it? So focus on what you're saying. Focus. What is it that you're objecting to? I'm sitting back and I'm saying, I have a feeling. Something tells me that Alex is going to work on something with Elon Musk. Now, when I say this, I don't know how that's going to be. I don't know but something tells me that once this is done and he starts anew and they say, all right, are we all done now? Yes. Bankruptcy done? I'm through, right? Yes. All my debts are wiped clean? Yes. Correct? Yes. So if I make $100 now, it's mine, right? Yes. Nothing. You can't claw back anything I'm making now. Correct? I'm not concealing assets. Okay. Are we done? We're done. We're through, right? Yes. InfoWars. Okay. Boom. And what the Onion wants to do with this, I don't even understand. If that story even holds water, what do you want to do with it? Okay, I own Do you want the cameras? What are you buying without Alex Jones? What is it? I don't understand. But I haven't spent a lot of time with this. Now, once that moment is done and he is cured and he is exorcised of these demons, then someone somewhere will all of a sudden create a particular concern where he is brought back again. And his platform will be X. Elon wants X to be more prominent. We'll see what happens. The same thing goes, I trust, for Rudy Giuliani. I do not believe that people can and there's a lot of more I'm concerned about Rudy. I think he might be drinking too much. He might be not in the best of mental health. I don't know. But I don't believe that New York and New York financiers and people with all the cash and all the dough and all of that are going to let him die on the vine. I don't believe so. But then again, I could be wrong. I don't think so. I don't believe so. Now, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, why should he not be the head of the DOJ? Why? Merrick Garland was a judge. Good judge, they say. DC Circuit, which was always that's the launching pad to the Supreme Court. It always been historically. There he is. He's has he ever run anything big? No. He had his office, his secretary, his clerks. That's it. Has he ever run an organization? No. Has he ever? No. He was there. He was put in to exact revenge against the people who denied him his chance to be Supreme Court judge. That's what he wanted. Now, let's bring in Matt Gaetz. What's with Matt Gaetz? Can he do this? Of course he can do this. Of course he can do this. Let's say I bring you in and I say, Madam or Mr. General, because you're referred to as General. Believe it or not, General. You are General Hillbilly, General Smith, General. You got it? Okay. This is the question you have to ask yourself. If he were to say, no, you are not going to unleash the FBI on a Catholic family who dares to seek parental autonomy, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think about this? If he says no, would you do this? Tell me what is wrong with this. Patrick Owens says, Gaetz is their freaking nightmare. I agree. What is wrong? Tell me what's wrong. Happy Love says it's a sleazy job for a sleazy guy. Again, I don't know what. I guess, because this is very imprecise. Do you mean the Attorney General is a sleazy job? Is that it? I don't know. Again, sometimes half of the time I don't comment a lot because you'll respond to something like, ha, ha, ha. And it was something that somebody said before. But tell me, what is wrong with Matt Gaetz? Please tell me. Tell me. And please come forward and be cogent. I don't want this to be just say, yay. I really want a brilliant, contrary opinions that are well thought and not just, well, what is the problem? What do you mean? What is it? I'm trying to see here. The left, I don't know. I'm still waiting. I want you to watch this and tell me what's wrong with what Mr. Gaetz says in this instance.
Isn't on our side either. The Matt Gaetz chaos agenda. That was the headline from the liberal New Yorker magazine. I must not know what chaos is. Open borders, $34 trillion in debt, $2.5 trillion annual national deficits. Your government might label you a domestic violent extremist if you buy guns or Bibles or, heaven forbid, show up at a school board meeting or attend mass too often. This sounds a hell of a lot more like chaos to me, because your chaos doesn't matter to a lot of the folks working 10 miles from here. Interest rates on credit cards and car loans are skyrocketing. Home ownership, the central thesis of the American dream to our parents and grandparents, is now a mirage to the millennials. They say inflation is down, but prices are still up. I never thought I'd live to the day where I'd spend $11 on a bag of carrots. Chaos for lawmakers is having to write
Anything wrong so far? Tell me.
Budgets and take tough votes. The chaos they are willing to inflict on your life is changing things for the worse. I actually want orderly things like budgets that balance, single subject spending bills, term limits, block grant Medicaid, drill for oil, export liquefied natural gas to anyone willing to buy it in dollars, demand that, I don't know, if the government wants to spy on Americans, they should have to get a warrant and we should secure the southern border. That's
Anybody have a problem with that? Anybody have a problem with that? Anybody? I'm just curious. Anybody? Tell me. Anybody? I'm still waiting.
like chaos or the orderly administration of this country that you deserve. Now, Democrats, they believed in these things some point between 20 years and like 20 minutes ago. Now, they are the party of forever wars abroad, high prices, low tea, and reverse racism here at home. And by the way, speaking of racism, if it is not racist to ask for an ID for a hunting license or a fishing license, then it is not racist to ask for an ID to vote in any election, in any jurisdiction, in a free country, the United States of America.
Now, any problem with that? Anybody? Here's something. This person says, Matt Gaetz has problems with underage girls. Let me ask you something. Tell me the charges against him. The charges against him. Indictments, charges, arrests. Anybody? Anybody? Let's take some time. Anybody? Tell me. What do we know about him? Hexeth. Let's talk about Matt Gaetz. What are the charges? What are the charges? No, I'm serious. I heard it on the radio. I don't even know what that means. I heard it on the radio. Maybe the crystal set was broken. Can you think of anything? Ask Steve Bannon, Navarro, Roger Stone. Go down the list. Any of the J6 trespassers. Is there anything that the lawfare President Trump, Rudy Giuliani, anything that they would hesitate on if they had any evidence of any kind of underage activity or sex trafficking or drugs involving Matt Gaetz? Anybody? 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 You can look this up. I don't know what this is. This is the problem. Now I'm going to hold you to it. Sir or madam, what is it? Do you believe that if there was anything they had, let me go through the list again. Look at all the charges, all from President Trump with Mar-a-Lago to Fannie Willis. These people were not hesitating in the least. And you're telling me that there's something substantial and substantive and real charges that exist against Matt Gaetz, and they haven't put a nail in the coffin of their number one nemesis? Anybody? Well, I heard this on the radio. Excuse me, what have you heard? I don't know. I heard something. He's got problems with them girls. What problem? I don't know. I just, he's got something wrong. Well, what in particular? I don't know, but he's, anybody bring? I don't know. That Hexeth too. They bought. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know. Have you done any research? No, I haven't done any research. I just heard some stuff. Well, what are the charges? What are the charges? Now, here's the best part. Whenever people had brought charges and allegations against Biden and his family, from Bobulinski to the big guy to Jim Biden, his brother, and the setting up LLCs for his family members, to Hunter's laptop, to the crack and the nothing, to the cocaine in the White House, to the vice president, Joe Biden, actually making deals in shutting down criminal prosecutions in Ukraine. This is huge. And they said, nothing there, nothing to look at, nothing to look. But Matt Gaetz, I hear he's got problems with underage girls. What? I don't know. I just heard it, on the radio. You listen to the radio? Yeah, I do. I got an AM radio, transistor. It's a Delco. I don't know anything about it. I'm just, well, why are you talking about it? I don't know. I'm just talking shit. I just kind of, well, what do you mean? I don't know what I mean. I don't know. I just heard something. I don't know. I don't know. Well, why are you speaking about this? Because I'm under the delusion that by virtue of the fact of my suspicion, that somehow warrants my ability to talk. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't read anything. Don't you understand? It's kind of like drive-by. I like read like I'm double parked. I don't know anything. Damn it, don't you understand? I know a little bit. I just know a little bit. I don't know a lot. See, you don't have to know a lot. You don't. You don't. So quit asking me to justify what I'm talking about. I don't know anything. I listen to the radio, for God's sake. I had a friend the other day say, well, you know what Trump did with warp speed. What? Well, he was with their vaccine stuff. Well, what should he have done? Well, what? This is my favorite. What would you have done? What is the thing to do? Not knowing now, but knowing then. What should they have done? What? What did the president do? The people were freaking out and he should have been able to read the future. I mean, they don't. Well, what would you have done? I don't know what I would have done. What do you mean? I just don't know. I don't know. Well, why are you saying this? Because I'm a pain in the ass. I'm a turd in the punch bowl. I just cause problems. That's all I do is I don't know anything. You see, how do I say this? I don't read. I don't really read. I mean, I might get a headline. I get a feel for things. I don't know. I'm probably worse than those left people. They don't know anything either, but I should know more, but I don't because I don't read. I don't know these things. So quit asking me. So just let me say something and just don't ask me to back it up or to explain why I'm saying it because I just do. I don't know. Do yourself a favor. Don't waste time. But they're illustrative because they've lost and they don't know what to do. And they didn't put up a candidate. And they won't even recognize the fact that their candidate didn't even have anything to say. Their candidate, this is the most important thing, their candidate never said anything. That's the part that kills me. Their candidate never said anything. Isn't that something? We still don't know what it was that their candidate wanted. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean this. I mean this like you cannot believe. Now, a couple of things here, my friends, I want to talk to you, which is very, very important, very, very critical, because you talked about what can they do? Well, a lot can still be done, even though we are still, dare I say, in charge. Even though we are in charge. And this is important. The reason is simply this, and that is emergency preparations, what you need to do. Years ago, there was a group of folks who said that anybody who prepared for emergencies was a prepper and, of course, a conspiracy theorist. This is my favorite. Conspiracy theorist means somebody who either conspires to create theories or has a theory about conspiracies. And when you ask them, what is the conspiracy? Who are the two or more guilty people confederating to bring something about? They say, I don't know anything about that. All I know is that, because conspiracy theory is what we use for the word of crazy, unsubstantiated, lunatic, whatever it is. It's that. Conspiracy theory to these people mean a synonym for crazy. That's the way that is. So people who prepared for the ability to handle, let's say, a week full of food for a family of 2, family of 3, 2,000 calories a day, a week. That's all, a week. Do you know how much food you've got to have? Let's say you cannot get out. There are no stores. There's no nothing. And you've got to be able to cook or do something for a week. And might be some problems with you realize, I don't have as much as we thought. You open up the cupboard and you got a lot of cookies and pasta and stuff. But for a week, breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, variety for a week? 2,000? No. And it can last forever. 25 years? Sealed? This is the part. People have this idea about food. They think, well, I got some jars and stuff. A week? Day 2. Want to open up the peaches again? No. What do you got? I got some canned stuff. We don't have anything. What about the bread? Nothing. Very few people can do this. So prepare with Lionel.com. Prepare with Lionel.com. This makes more sense. And people are showing their distrust of what's going on, the president notwithstanding, by the people who are absolutely going nuts preparing with this. Now, one more thing. As in the case of Holterman's, those wonderful people in Staten Island, MyPillow.com was our Holterman's. When Mike Lindell, they did everything to shut him down on all he wanted to do was make great products, American made, just pillows and towels and dish towels and toppers and mattresses and slippers and slides and bathrobes. Just great stuff. But because he dared to utter support of President Trump, they destroyed him or wanted to. And the first time I saw this was at Bed Bath & Beyond. I'll never forget that. And all of a sudden, right there in the middle, they had these big like bins where the towels or the pillows were. And they were gone. Because these radical left, wokie bastards decide we're going to teach him a lesson. Well, guess what? He's still standing and they're gone. They're out. So prepare with Lionel is one. And MyPillow.com, promo code Lionel. Go there right now. And Christmas, I can't say this enough, it's just around the corner. And that's the way that is. Do you understand how this thing works? I think so. I hope so. Pilgrim Media says we want him for the special prosecutors he'll appoint. Yes, indeed. But we also have to do some other things too. We need more people to be suspicious. Here's Joe Rogan. Again, cannot explain to you how important Joe Rogan is. Watch this.
I did this whole internal thing with the kidnapping case for Gretchen Whitmer. We didn't know that before. We didn't know that you could have a kidnapping case where there's 14 people and 12 of them are FBI informants. So you got 12 people working with the FBI, 2 retards, and you convince these dumbasses that they should go and kidnap the governor, and they're like cosplaying. These guys are idiots. They might have been playing Game of Dungeons and Dragons in the woods. They're idiots.
There's an old saying, it goes something like, the FBI always gets their man because it's always their man. It's like...
I want to explain something to you. This is the part that is so important. Remember, and this is sad to say, there are some default theories. When the government says they've done something, the first thing you should say is bullshit. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but it's true. Let me give you an example. They want you to suspend all common sense. I can no longer, I can't and I won't, but it's going to be moot, but to be a part of conventional radio, TV, nothing like that. There was a guy years ago called the Central Park. Times Square Bomber. Times Square Bomber. And I remember one time I said, did he bomb anything? No. Why do you call him a bomber? He left his van at Times Square, near Times Square, one of the adjoining streets. Anyway, his van, and inside, if I recall correctly, you can read this, was a propane tank, like from a barbecue or something, and I think an M80. And I don't even know if it was connected and what that would have done and whatever. I think he left his wallet or his checkbook, and they found him immediately. Shingat, they starura. All right. Then there was the Lackawanna 6, it was a group of people who supposedly met with the FBI. Don't hold me to that. But I remember watching this. They actually played this videotape. It was a bunch of black dudes. And the leader of the group, said to an FBI agent, "We need artillery." I think they wanted like money or food. They were, as Joe would say, retards. I'm sorry to say that. But he wanted artillery. Raul says, "My eyes have seen the coming of the Trumpinator." Indeed. The FBI is a grand organization that you need if you want to do bank robberies, federal crimes, federal offenses. The front line, the guys who were just the men and women in the front, there's nothing wrong with the FBI. They're federal law enforcement. That's it. Federal law enforcement. And we need federal law enforcement. So away it goes. We need federal law enforcement. Okay. So somewhere along the line, they lost their way. And you've got these idiots involved here. And they have been, in some cases, the most corrupt people. We will never get to the bottom of January 6th. We will never get to the bottom. But I've told people, just because the FBI was there, and just because they were obviously there by virtue of their clothing and the like, does not mean they organized it. Does that make any sense to you? Let me say this again. Just because they were there, because they had actual agents there. They had agents at Woodstock, though they didn't organize Woodstock. They had agents in any kind of, I'm sure there were agents and people for the RNC and the D. I'm sure, but that didn't mean they organized it. Yes, they were there. They were there. Now, people always confuse the idea of the fact that they were there with having organized it. Remember, there's two things, LIHOP and MIHOP. Let it happen on purpose or make it happen on purpose. And most of the time it's LIHOP. They know what's going on. They have intel. The FBI, government, feds knew all about January 6th before it was going to happen. Were they necessarily happy that it was precipitated somewhat? Yes. Do you think it was overplayed by the media? Absolutely. Was it in any way a threat to this country? Not in the least. Not in the least. It doesn't matter. Hot Pocket says, was actually on CNN yesterday, of all places, about the FBI, CIA, and NYC Police Department involved in Malcolm X assassination. Well, let me tell you one of the things which you have to, and I'm glad you bring this up, and thank you. When you say the NYPD, do you mean the organization? Or do you mean parts of it? And they always have to bring in the CIA. CIA is the necessary group of people always involved in any kind of an allegation of some kind of governmental nefariousness. And I respectfully submit, more often than not, they have nothing to do with anything domestically. I know because the FBI and others will do so. Remember this, if you use the word CIA, you sound like a nut. You might be right, but you sound like a nut. Don't ever use the word CIA. Don't ever use the word chemtrail. Refer to it as the government or something like that. Just because you're suggesting that CIA, you do know there is of course, part of their charter never to be involved with domestic stuff, which is complete nonsense, which of course they are. Do you believe, and this is what I talk about on my private channel, but do you honestly believe that the Kennedy assassination could not have been stopped? Do you think, and it was a different time then, that the government, whether it's FBI, CIA, military intelligence, J. Edgar Hoover, Lyndon Johnson, Mac Wallace, I don't know, But do you think somebody could have said, hey, we know all about this? Do you not think that, especially when you look at where in New Orleans, and of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they knew. Of course they did. You want to try to unravel that? When Condoleezza Rice reads a PDB, Presidential Daily Briefing, there's PDBs, PDDs, Presidential Daily Directives, Presidential Daily Briefings. They go through different names. When they said bin Laden determined to fly jets into whatever it is, do you think for a moment, do you honestly, truly, seriously, honestly believe that with all of the spooks and all of the people and all of the connections, that these things are really caught by surprise? Maybe they heard them and then disregarded them as being, oh, that's crazy talk. Do you really believe that? Do you think that John Kennedy, just go down the list, go down all the list? Do you really think that we can just go forever? Now, I stop right there, and I stop right there because I don't know any further. I ask the question. No, I think there may have been clues that were either negligently overlooked or deliberately overlooked, and not made to happen, but I have to stop there. I have to stop. They have to stop right there. I can't go any further because I don't know anything. I remember listening to people. This is when I am so, sometimes the subject will be interesting, and then it is swarmed by people. I went one time, the fifth anniversary of 9/11, right? Think about this. 5th anniversary. This is in 2006, right? And I was right there downtown where it was. And there were people walking with Alex Jones was there and others. And they had the old inside job, the T-shirts. Okay, T-shirts. And they said something to the effect of, this one group believed that the planes were holograms. And I realized, okay. Now, even though they were a minor part of the entire group, many people were there to celebrate, to remember that there were firemen, and you heard the din and the wail of bagpipes, and it was very sad. But among that group, there were also the other people who thought that they were holograms and that sort of thing. So I realized I can't get near this. I tried, and I just can't, because I don't want to be associated with some very good people, but some other crazy people. Whenever somebody wears a button, I was in Washington one time, and there was a very interesting group of people who wanted to remember this day and wanted to investigate. And yet there's somebody with a funny hat and a big button, inside job. It's like, okay. And I know that. Same thing with UFOs, UAPs, EBEs, flying saucers, MUFON. Wonderful idea until you go to a convention, and then you realize these people look like crazy. They're just, I don't want to have anything to do with this. There was a time years ago, I don't want to go into different thoughts about Podesta and Hillary Clinton, and it just went nuts. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're creating a story. Instead of saying, this looks really interesting, let's proceed forward. No, you're not doing this. You're, okay. So this has been the story of my life, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the story of my life. I'm always trying to find people who really can compartmentalize, to say something and say, I don't know about this. January 6th, somebody will say this Mike Epps fellow. I don't know whatever happened with that case. But if so, well, that looks interesting. And they went from that and just ran with it. He's an insider. He's a plant. He's a part. How do you know it? You don't know anything. That's all I need. Then you have people, some in particular, who love this elevation. They will have crazy stuff, nuts, but their numbers go through the roof. And I could name some of them. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, look, I think you should be entitled to that. I just don't have time for this. You know where else we're seeing this? Different subject matter. You know where else we're seeing this? Diddy. You don't know anything about Diddy. Nothing. And there is this swarm of people, many, I'm sorry to say this, who are completely incomprehensible, unintelligible, some who speak languages I don't know. I think it's English. I'm not sure. And they will come forward with the name of, I don't know who they are. Not everybody, but some. And they're trying to push their way to the top because I know what's going on. And this Diddy case is going to turn into the biggest flop anybody's ever seen because there's too many working parts. He was charged with nothing. And most of the people who were there at these parties were there voluntarily, knew what was going on. And granted, you cannot be abused or assaulted if you're under the influence of something. And there may be some references to children. I would look definitely into the Justin Bieber, whatever happened with that. But those are the minority of the cases. This case is going nowhere. And if Justin Bieber, if Diddy were smart, he would say, and I'm giving this is a new instance, by the way, because somebody's going to say, how did we get from here to here? Because it's called a conversation. And I said, and as an example of media overkill, there's Diddy. And then we went into that because people have a hard time following this. Because remember, some people gather information about President Trump or Matt Gaetz from listening to the radio. How do you expect them to follow anything remotely as complex as this? But what Diddy's going to do, he's going to say, I'm not getting out of prison. Run out the clock. You know what? I'm going to go to trial. I'm going to liquidate every single thing I have. I don't own anything. Second, third, fourth, leverage, mortgage. I don't own anything. Nothing. And I'm going to use every bit of I'm going to try to use Florida laws of homestead exemption, try to keep as many put things in trust if I could for my kids. And that's about it. And you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get anything. And then they're doing these things. They're saying, yeah, but what about Jay-Z? What about Jay-Z? Oh, what is Jay-Z? Is Jay-Z involved in this? I don't know. Why do you say that? Because they don't know. Because somebody says Jay-Z, or they'll say Oprah. Is Oprah involved in this? I don't know. I'm no fan of Oprah, but why do you think Oprah's involved in this? I don't, because I want her to be? Okay. Then you take Cat Williams, who was going to be the most profoundly important not scribe, but seer, so to speak. And he is going to be saying something to the effect of, well, look here, 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 and here. What about this? What about Monique? That's a fascinating case. It's all interconnected into nothing, interconnected with the wrong people. It's going to be it's going to be a study in how maybe conspiracy theories, maybe theories of conspiracies. It's going nowhere. They will point to something and not say anything. Look, he has he has a mirror in his ceiling. Wow. So do the Poconos, the old days of these honeymoon. I mean, this America needs to go back, which is kind of where we started from, and learning critical thinking. And I want you to think like a cop. And I want you to understand that you're going to be getting a lot of information here from sources that have nothing to do with this. Sort this out and make sure you know what you're doing. And going back to what I initially said, everybody's going to be throwing things at you left and right about Bobby Kennedy, about Hegseth, about Tulsi, I'm sure Tulsi may have had a problem with her marriage. I don't know. Okay, ignore it. Look at who is winning. We are. It's going to be bumpy sometimes in the media. Stop watching CNN. Stop going on X or Twitter and responding. Stop going to Mediaite, which is a fraud. I don't even know what that is. They're commenting on what's being said in the media. So what? That. When did you ever hear about a separate coverage of the Super Bowl merely devoted to what fans thought about the game? Totally. None. Well, that's what Mediaite is. That's that Dan Abrams. That's it. It's a kind of a lib kind of thing. What does it matter? Well, on ABC, they say this. Well, so what? And if I was the president, nobody in your cabinet, nobody in your team ever is to appear on CNN, ABC, go down the list. Ever, 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 ever. Don't do it under any circumstances. This is critical. This is what people have to understand. They have to understand this. This is not a joke. And I have a hard time. Well, I think sometimes I got to remind you, you do know that we won, right? You do know that, right? And when you've won, you don't waste your time giving attention to people who make no difference whatsoever. These people make no difference. And I'm not trying to take the high road. I'm saying we don't know. We've got a lot in front of us right now. And right now, Mr. President, you have a mandate. You've got the House, you've got the Senate, and you better hit the ground running. And I mean to tell you, because they're going to tell you 4 years from now, or the Republicans, well, you were in charge. What did you do? Don't listen to people like that creepy Matt Gaetz. I mean, not Matt Gaetz. What is his name? Oh, God. Trey Gowdy. There's mine. Who are these people? Why did Trey Gowdy leave? I always wonder, who was Trey Gowdy? Why is he there? Because he works cheap, becomes, what is it? Harold Ford Jr. I don't have time for this. Go and look, number one, at the right sources. You're going to have to go to some, if you want to look, you want to hear domestically, if that's what you want to do, you can't go to Fox News. They're not going to be talking about any of this stuff that you find interesting. Look, I know you've heard me talk about Fox News. I'm going to do it again. They're a limited hangout, meaning that they are there to make you think this is the up-to-the-minute news you need to know. You will never hear anything as far as Israel goes. This lockstep AIPAC pro-Israel, I've never seen anything like it. Left, right. There is not anybody who dares say, hey, what about the Palestinian people? What about the Gazans? You're anti-Semitic. If you'd have told me this years ago, and I said, there's no way, there's no way. That's ridiculous. But that's the way it is right now. Elise Stefanik, Mike Huckabee. Oh, now Huckabee, he's an ambassador. But that's not of any interest to people. But if you want to know that, you can't go to this country. And you can't go to CNN. You can't go to CNN or that Fox. You have to go elsewhere for that. You want to find out what's going on with BRICS and the rest of the world? You can't go here. This other stuff is kind of interesting. And what's more important, which really should, I think should get your attention, is the following. What are we doing to change our mindset when it comes to our socialization? How do we make sure that the radical trans people don't care about, but puberty blocking and trans messaging as a curriculum, how do we make sure that's done? That's what I'm going to do. Where do you go for that? That's good for Fox because that's low-hanging fruit. Remember, the five, Gutfeld, Judge Jeanine, Harris Faulkner, very easy to understand. Very easy. Big headlines. And can you believe that Whoopi Goldberg mentioned this cupcake? Okay, and they'll spend forever on that because it's like, how dare these people? It's just a cupcake. Okay, fine. Next. Okay, fine. Okay, let's go on. What are we doing next? What's happening? Anybody ever figure out example? Do you have the right? What can the government order regarding your body? Can your government next tell you that you must receive some type of psychotropic medication in the event of depression? I don't know. So those are what we're going to have to think about, my friends. Those are what we're going to be paying attention to. Believe me when I tell you that. So Hot Pocket, I thank you. Raul Rodriguez, Pilgrim, thank you. Diana Smith and Sim, thank you as well. Remember, we won. Don't watch anything. If you do, you can watch it. Don't comment on it. Don't retweet it. Don't post it. Don't let it go anything from your mind. It's good to know kind of what the enemy is thinking, but that's it. You wanted to go in and die in that vacuum chamber. Let them echo chamber. Let them talk. Let them back and forth. Let the CNN folks talk. If it never loses, if it never metastasizes, if it remains in situ, doesn't matter. That's going to have to be our goal. We want to kill the media. When you've killed the left media, the radical left media, you've killed a major public relations division of this. All right? Good. My friends, you have a wonderful and a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it immensely. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button, and we'll see you later. Don't forget, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.